Hi, I'm PJ from TreelineUSA.com, and today I'm looking forward to introducing you to the new Strong 250 micromotor. The micromotors have been around for quite some time now, and people are choosing these over common rotary tools or even flex shaft tools because of how compact they are, how much power they have, and how comfortable they are to use for long periods of time. So let's come in close and let me show you a little bit more about this tool. One of the first things you'll notice about the Strong 250 micromotor is how slim and sleek the handpiece is. That it fits comfortably in most people's hands. It's not big and bulky like some of the common rotary tools on the market. And so if you're sitting down for a long period of time carving, you just don't get that hand fatigue like you would with some other things. But let me show you a few other things about the handpiece. First, it has what's called the quick change collet on it. So the tool comes with a dummy burr installed, and when you want to take that out, you just turn this part right here until it clicks, and then that releases the bit and that comes right out. Then when you go to put a new bit in there, you just slide it down inside the collet, rotate that until you feel the click, and now the bit is locked in place. So right now the collet that comes standard with this is a 1/8 inch collet, and so that'll fit most bits on the market, all your 1/8 inch shank. But then if you wanted to use a smaller shafted bit like the 3/32, we also include what's called I would call it reducing sleeve. So that way you take this 1/8 inch to 3/32 reducer, slide that down into the collet, and that converts it down to 3/32 and it locks in place just as easily. And then we also have an optional 1/8 inch to 1/16 collet reducing sleeve. So if you ever use those small little dental burrs, you can do the same thing. Slide that down in there and use a small 1/8 inch shaft, or excuse me, 1/16 shaft burrs for doing fine engraving type work with it. So the power supply on this will go from 0 to 45,000 RPM, which is super fast. So depending on how much control you need or the type of bit and wood you're using, you can totally control that speed from 0 all the way up to 45,000. It has both forward and reverse in it. So on bits that are like this, that don't have a directional cut on them, so like diamond bits, these saber tooth burrs, you can go either direction. And so that way when you're going, so where I'm right-handed and I carve in the forward position, the bit wants to go away from me so I can carve like this and have good control. But if I flip it over running in the forward direction, now the bit wants to run into me and it's a little bit hard to work and have to go that way. But with the Strong 250 power supply, for you left-handers out there, all you have to do is switch that to the reverse direction, and now you can carve with the bit going that direction and have that same type of control. Other features of using the reverse, sometimes depending on the grain and the wood grain direction, that can make a difference too. So you can kind of play with that so that you don't get the wood to fuzz up quite so much on you. But for all you right-handers, usually use that in the forward direction. The Strong 250 micromotor has the optional variable speed foot pedal that you can get to go with it, and with that you just switch it over from hand to foot, and now what you do is you can set the top speed to be, say, like in this case, say 28,000 RPM, and then with the foot pedal you can just vary within that range. You can step on it and it'll have that much more control with it, or you can go all the way up to get the full range of speed with that. But anyway, just for some people who are used to using a foot pedal, that's a great option for many people. And let's actually pull out a piece of wood and carve a little bit so you can see just how smooth this cuts and how quiet this tool is. Let me show you just how well the Strong 250 carves. So the settings we have the power supply in, right now we have it in the hand setting. If you're using the variable speed foot pedal, you just switch it to foot. But right now we just have it in hand, and then we also have it in forward. So if you're using bits that have more of an abrasive type coating, they can go either direction. You could switch that over to reverse if you are left-handed. But if you're using bits like this that are fluted, you can only really use those in the forward direction because they're designed to cut in that one direction. So if you were to run that in reverse, it just wouldn't cut quite as well. So if you're using a bit like that, you might just have to be careful, even if you're left-handed, to run that in the forward direction so it cuts right. Okay, so we've got that in forward and in hand. The on-off switch is that green switch, and you can set that to whatever speed you want. Something you'll notice too, that as you carve, the slower you go, the more likely the bit has to kind of grab and pull away from you. But if you're using little sanding bits, or you're using a really hard wood, and sometimes the wood will kind of burn on you, but you can vary that speed and kind of find the optimal speed for the bit you're using and the type of wood that you're using. So with this saber-tooth whisper bit, we're going to run that at about 30,000 RPM, and we're using a piece of Tupelo here, which is the favorite power carving wood. But notice how well this cuts, that the wood just kind of peels right off of it and disappears. Just a nice, smooth cutting tool. Notice I'm holding this more like a pencil. You know, that's kind of the advantage of having a coiled power cord like this. Sometimes flex shaft tools are a little bit hard to kind of get the flex shaft set up just right so you don't kink it. But with the strong 250 power cord like that, you don't have to worry about that. This can curl and kink anywhere you need, and it's still going to run just fine. But notice just how well that cuts. Let me speed it up to 45,000 RPM. And you'll notice that when you go that fast, you have just a little bit more control because the bit is taking off less material per pass, and you have a little bit more control on that. So yeah, it just comes right off. And notice just how small that handpiece is. It fits right in your hand, so you can use it for long periods of time. It's not super noisy, and the bit has very little to no vibration in it because of how well designed this handpiece is. I hope this video has been helpful, kind of showing you some of the benefits and features of using a micromotor tool, and specifically the Strong 250 micromotor. So we at TreelineUSA.com have the Strong 250s available. We also carry a lot of different bits and supplies to help you with power carving. The Strong 250 micromotor comes standard with the handpiece, the power supply, the handpiece cradle, and the 3/32 collet reducer. And then for people who want to use the foot pedal, we do sell that separately, so that way it gives you a variable speed. And then we also have a 1/8 inch to 1/16 collet reducer if you ever want to use those small dental burrs for doing some of your engraving and small detailed projects. So that's the Strong 250 micromotor. Come visit us at TreelineUSA.com for more information. Thank you again for watching.